All right, welcome to the board exams. I hope you are all staying safe during this period. Okay, and I hope you're not losing hope because the prometric centers are closed and you can't schedule your exams. Some of you may have scheduled the exam to take the NBDE Part One in May. Okay, and you may not be able to take it because we don't know what the situation is going to be. Okay, so however, what I recommend that don't lose hope. If you're studying for NBD Part 1 and you're scheduled to take it in May, if the prometric centers are still going to be closed during that time and you won't be able to take it, continue studying for NBD Part 1. Okay, the material, make sure you study the material, but also if you're in May and the prometric center are still closed, make sure you start studying for NBDE Part 2 material. Okay? This way, what's going to happen? This way, you can do almost study. You're studying for INBDE. Okay, which is integrated, so that when this slows down, okay, when this coronavirus pandemic slows down and the prometric centers open, then you can register to take INBDE. Now, what is INBDE? So this session is going to answer some of the questions which I have received, and these questions is particularly from James. Okay, and so by include questions and answers on regarding the new integrated national board for dental examination. Okay. All right. So question number 1: what do you think will be the difficulty in terms of the text presented? Okay, meaning the material. So as I like to say, difficulty is relative. Everything is relative. Okay, what's simple for me may be difficult for the 90% of the people. What difficult for me may be difficult for may be simple for 90% of the people. So you can't really compare between INBD 1 and integrated. Okay, because integrated includes both the material from INBD 1 and INBD 2. I mean, sorry, not INBD, but NBDE 1 and NBDE 2. So, what you have to know, all right, is that the NBDE Part 1 tests a lot of basic sciences, a lot of biochemistry, a lot of things that they'll teach you, that test your basic science knowledge, but you may not necessarily use them in your clinic practice. Okay, so in your clinical practice you may not use a lot of things you learn in NBDE Part 1. Okay, so NBDE Part 2 focuses more on the integration of the patient's medical history, the patient's chief complaint, the patient's physical examination, the patient's radiographic evaluation, and integrating them, coming up with a diagnosis, an assessment, and a plan. Okay, and it doesn't have to be one plan. It comes with it's treatment options. Okay, so that's where you have the risk benefits alternatives. So that's where the part 2 comes in. And so integrated national boards is mostly going to be more like national board part 2, which is clinical based. Okay, and as a dentist, you're supposed to know how to integrate the information the patient gives you. Okay, patient may say they have pain on the, for example, the patient may come in saying they have pain on the TMJ. Okay, so you evaluate, you know that, wait a minute, so what things can cause pain in the TMJ? One of them is pain from mandibular molars. Okay, because you know it's the same nerve. So you have to, the patient may tell you one problem, you're thinking this TMJ issue, but they have a decayed tooth number 18, which is referring pain to the TMJ. Okay, so you have to be able to integrate that, listen to the patient's chief complaint, and then do a thorough examination, physical examination, and radiographic examination, come up with a diagnosis and your treatment options. That is what you need to know. Okay, so this has nothing to do with memorizing. Okay, tell me the branches or the roots of the brachial plexus. Okay, what does that have to do with any diagnosis and treatment, right? So the patient comes in, they tell you they have numbness in the wrist, right? So then you have to know, okay, the nerve, some of the nerves which which innervate the wrist are part of the brachial plexus. So you have to know, and then you can say, oh, maybe there's a lesion in the in the cervical spine somewhere. Okay, so that's integrating the information. Okay, that's what integration means. Okay, so the new format of exams tests your overall clinical knowledge. Okay, so I may memorize the masseter, muscles of mastication. What does muscles of mastication have to do with anything? Okay, I can memorize them, but what do they do? And if the patient comes in saying they have trismus, which is limited mouth opening, I have to know, okay, what's causing the trismus? Okay, number one, so what's the patient doing at home? Are they eating hard foods? Did they get punched in the jaw? Um, do they have any swelling? Okay, right? So because trismus can be caused by many things, right? Are they smokers? Is it tumors? So that's where the integration comes in. And then if you do find the diagnosis, how are you going to treat it? How do you treat trismus, right? Um, So trismus can be both a diagnosis and a symptom, okay, which can be caused by something else. So you need to evaluate the patient, integrate what the patient gives you, and your physical examination and the treatment plan. So your clinical knowledge is very important. They're not going to be asking you irrelevant things like tell me the mesenteric anatomy, okay? Things in the stomach which you never know. But they may ask you in terms of the secretions of the stomach, okay? Which cells in the stomach secrete the acid, and what's the effect if you after treatment of a carrier's tooth you prescribe patient some ibuprofen? What's gonna happen, right? So you are putting all that information together, all right? So you remember part one is mostly memorization. Memorization, just the facts, memorizing facts. Part two is integrating clinical knowledge, pathology. So patient comes in with this, what's your differential? What's your differential diagnosis, and what are you going to how are you going to treat it? Okay. So clinical knowledge is important. If you're going to take this exam, if you practiced a long time ago, okay, I know some of you may have been out of practice for 5 years, 10 years, 12 years. So, and then you want to take this exam. Now, the problem with dentistry is that when we're in school, we learn to treat according to the standard of care. And then when we open our own private practices, we start doing things our own way. Oh, this is how I do it. This is how I do it. But remember, focus on the US standard of care. Okay? Focus on the US standard of care. For example, you see a tooth, okay? And the tooth has darkening on the occlusal surface. And you take a probe, okay, or the explorer, and you feel that tooth, that carrier's tooth, the black area is very hard. Okay? So what does the hardness? If it's very hard and it's not mushy or white, it means that is demineralized or arrested caries. And so the question is, you may ask the patient, okay, how long has this tooth been like this? The patient may say, oh, 10 years, 12 years. Does it hurt? No. Has it gotten worse? No. Okay. So you cannot treatment plan to say, oh, let's do a filling on this tooth. No. Why? Because there's no active decay. Everything has arrested. Okay. Arrested decay does not need to be removed. Okay, but in your clinical practice you may have say, oh, you know, that's decay, let me remove it. Well, you may be fine. You may explain to the patient, oh, you know what, I think that's decay, let me remove it. But according to the standard of care, you're not supposed to touch arrested decay. You need to leave it unless there's active decay, mushy, white, okay, or yellow. You can remove it. But arrested decay, which is dark and hard and shiny, okay, just leave it. So don't say this is how I did in my practice, but what does the standard of care say? So you need to go into international integrated the national board exam, INBDE. You need to know what is the standard of care. Okay. All right. So, and then the second question is, do you reckon it will be more difficult after this change? As I said, the difficulty is relative. Okay. So, however, as the INBDE is a new exam, the challenge will be finding the study structure, because you need to find how to structure yourself. And we can discuss this on in terms of finding the structure, the study material. I can give you the material and formulate a structure for you so you can pass the integrated exam, and so that you are not overwhelmed. Okay. Now you need to understand that. Okay. And the exam otherwise will be fine for the well prepared. If you are well prepared and you have a structure and you know the material and you know the purpose of the INBDE, you'll be fine. Don't stress out. Okay. And distress is your enemy. Stress is okay, but stress has different types. Okay. Distress is the one which is very destructive. If you are distressed, it's not good, because you're going to panic. All right. So, but to minimize panic and distress, you need to be well organized, structured, and choose appropriate resources. All right. We can discuss resources later. So, for the INBD, there's not going to be gross randomization of facts. So they're not going to ask you facts out of nowhere. Okay. They may give you a case and then say, okay, from this, what's mechanism of that? There is a guide already of released practice questions, which, however, the exam may not be exactly like that, but the format is like that. So you're supposed to go to study more in depth. All right. So if you haven't looked at the guide yet, make sure you look at the guide, familiarize yourself with about the 40 to 50 questions that the guide has. Okay, answer them. Usually those are easy ones when they're asking, but familiarize yourself with that, and you can start collecting your study material based on the guide. Okay. All right. So, what to expect after the modification? What to expect? Okay, the cost. So INBDE cost is relatively in the middle of what the total of remember the NBD one is like 480. I know when I took it was 450. And NBD part 2 is, I think, 465 or 495 somewhere. So if you put all those together, the cost puts you almost 1,000. Okay, and that's without processing fee, and that is without rescheduling fee for those people who like to extend their dates. Okay, so INBDE cost $680, but that is just one exam. So you take the exam, you are done, right? So this is the financial cost. The financial cost is $680, and that is for people who are here, who are graduated dental school here. If you are an international graduate, there is processing fee, which is 210 processing fee. So that gives you a total of, if you're an international, it's going to give you a total of $890. All right. Now, if you reschedule, the cost is going to be up. This is just the finances part. Okay. Plus, if you buy the material, okay. Plus, if you talk about traveling, plus the time. Now, let's talk about the time. Okay, the time that it takes to study for part one is long time. My goodness, because of the basics. And if you graduated long time, it even takes longer. Okay, so part one is a lot of material that you need to memorize facts, and so in terms of time cost, it's a lot of time. Okay, part two, it doesn't take too much time because it's clinical based. So once you know the clinical scenarios, then you can apply that clinical knowledge to other scenarios. Okay, all right. So it's relatively cheaper to have just one exam. Okay, and you take it once, and you don't worry anymore about that exam if you pass it. Okay, if you don't pass it, again, it's one exam that you're concentrating on. Before, if you don't pass part one, then you have to retake part two. You cannot take part two, so you have to retake part one until you pass part one. That's when you can take part two. Okay, so people end up staying in the cycle of taking part one without taking part two. Okay, so the advantage of this is that if you don't get it the first time, you can study the same material and pass the part of the integrated board, and then you move on. All right, so relatively overall, it's going to be a cheaper process. Now, which are the benefits of taking the exam before it happened? Well, that's easy. If you take the INBDE part one, okay, if you are able, because if you haven't taken it now, the problem is that you need to start thinking of, okay, studying for part one, but also start studying for part two material, because the prometric centers may not open in May. Okay, so because of how this pandemic is going, so make sure that you start planning ahead and also start studying for part two material and register for INBDE part one if the INBDE, if the register for integrated national boards, so that if the prometric centers are not open by mid-May, then all you have to do is just register for INBDE integrated national boards. Okay, and it may be, I think the ADA website may not be accepting registration. You just have to try, but I think maybe the registration may be closed for now also. So make sure you plan ahead if you're planning to apply to dental schools this coming year. Okay, so make sure you plan accordingly. And then part two, of course, part two, if you're able to take part one this year, then of course you have until 2022 to take part two. Okay, but taking INBDE part one at least integrated national boards can help you. And if you have any questions in terms of the structures and the material, leave comments, okay, on specific things. and I'll see if I can make a video, and it is going to benefit everyone. I'm not charging for this, okay? So this is totally free because I know you guys need help. All right. So, and the other advantage of taking the INBDE part 1 before INBDE starts is that there are many sources available for preparation, and because there are many sources, and the INBDE part 1 and part 2 have been time tested, so there's it decreases anxiety from fear of unknown. Okay. And from fear of unknown, a lot of people start panicking. They get tachycardia. Okay. Panic is real. Have you had a panic attack? Okay. When you wake up thinking that you missed the exam and it's still 5 a.m. in the morning. Okay. That is what we call the anxiety. That can be detrimental. Okay. To your strategies. All right. And so these exams, the part 1 and part 2, are true and tested. Okay. And so that's the advantage, and there's a lot of material available for you to study. Okay. As we probably, the second question is, as we probably can see on my writing, so this is James asking, I'm a foreign graduate that would like to pass the exam, but I haven't started studying yet. Which would you be your best advice for me? The best advice is start studying now. Start studying now. Okay. You can't. The best way to finish is by starting. You can't finish if you haven't started, right? So it sounds a simple statement, but start studying. Just even it's not just studying, but just start looking for the material, collect the material, and then every now and then refer to that material. Come up with the strategies. Okay. Select your sources carefully. This is where you have to be careful in terms of selecting the sources, because it's a new exam. You don't want to pick up. So it says integrated exam. So this is not exactly the material from part 1 and part 2. So you have to study for part 1 separately and then part 2 separately. So you buy the dental decks for part 1 and then you buy the dental decks part 2. That is a lot of dental decks. It's gonna take you a lot of time to go through that. Okay. So you need to be strategious. So you need to have a good plan that is going to help you study. Okay. While you're studying, you are improving your basic science knowledge and also your clinical diagnostic skills. All right. And if you have any questions, we can also hold. During this time, there's this time of Zoom. Okay, this is amazing technology. Everyone is connecting. Um, through online now. Okay, there's a lot of things. If you want us to go through case scenarios and discuss, the steps that I use in the clinic to do the diagnosis and treatment planning, let me know. We can set up something. Okay. All right. And then select fewer good resources and plan and make your own timeline. Okay. Next question. I have checked your website as well. Really impressive. Could you please explain me more about what kinds of tools do you offer for people interested in the INBDE exam? So the website has video lectures. Okay. The website is different from the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel, which is good, and they have both the website and the YouTube channel are free. The YouTube channel has videos. I cannot post exams or quizzes on the YouTube channel. So the advantage of the website is that you can do a lecture, a video lecture, and then take a time practice exam to see if you understood the material in that lecture. Okay. If you don't do well, then you can review the video again and retake the quiz and see how you do. You can on the website you can retake the quiz or the exam 4 times. And then what does the so those are the quizzes associated with the videos. And the tests on the website, they are all high-heeled material. So this is no fluff. This is straightforward, the things that each dentist is supposed to know. All right. So that's the advantage of what's included on the website. Okay. So you can create your own login and enroll on the website and review those material. Okay. And as we go on, we can I think on the website we're going to add more things. So there's and then the website has links, okay, where you can click on complete time practice exams to boost your confidence. And these exams they have about 60 questions. The other ones have 150 questions, and it goes from perio, it goes from to TMJ, it goes to soft tissue pathology, and then oral surgery, patient management. So all those things you can access these exams for that. Okay, on the website. Just one more question. As a foreigner, I believe I will have to sit for the TOEFL exam in some stage. When it must be done? So when can it be done? Before or after the NBDE? So the TOEFL can be taken any time of the year. Okay, they have dates, they have days. Okay, usually it's I think Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But the TOEFL and NBDE are separate. They are not linked. You don't have to pass NBDE for you to take TOEFL, and you don't have to pass TOEFL for you to take NBDE. So you can take either one anytime. Okay. So and TOEFL, if you speak English already, you can go ahead and take TOEFL. I think the results last for about 2-3 years. I don't know exactly how long it lasts, but you can have you can pass your TOEFL and don't worry about it in the future. Okay, and then you can worry about sitting down and study for the NBDE exams. All right. All right. And then he said, "Thank you very much for all the helpful information you share on the internet. You are welcome. If you have any questions, comment, okay, and let me know what I can help you with. And good luck. Stay safe, okay, and use social isolation properly." So right now I'm recording this in the parking lot of the hospital, okay, where I work. So I prepared this lecture, this review, answer questions, but I didn't have time to record it. So this is the time to record it before I get home and remove all my scraps. Okay, stay safe. Okay, and stay away from the hospitals. Keep away from the hospitals unless you are symptomatic. All right, and good luck studying.